Well, how you do, buckaroos? I think we're on. I don't know. I've been having issues with this camera. I don't know for forever it seems like. And then about 3 months ago, it just quit working completely. So I gave up doing any live videos whatsoever other than using my camera. So anyway, for some odd reason, it just started working today. I don't know why, but it did. So I decided I'd go ahead and try to set up a live video to try it. And as soon as I went to turn it on, well, it turned off again. So I've been monkeying around with it for about the last 30 minutes, and it came on. So I thought I'd try to get one quick video in and see if it'll work for me or not. This is Whiskey Wednesday, so I thought I'd work. Near the end of a bottle I picked up, I don't know, about a month ago or so. So I poured about 2 ounces on the rocks here, and about 1.5 ounces neat in the Glenlivet glass. I picked up this Johnny Red at the time because I found it on sale. It was marked down to, it was clearance for $15. I mean, 15, what the heck? I'm really more of a bourbon drinker or an Irish whiskey drinker, but for that price, I figured, what the heck? Excuse me, my nose is starting to cringe. I'm going to drink the rocks first, but I get a little nose on the neat there. Both rocks and neat. This is my Maker's Mark glass here for rocks. My Glenlivet glass for the neat. I have 2 nosing glasses, but one of them I broke. The other one ended up packed up and didn't get over here. So I've got to find it somewhere. And I had another good glass that I broke the other day. I've got, my daughter got it for me. I got it at, I don't remember if she got it at a sale or a garage sale or something. Anyway, I just had 4 nice Scotch glasses, similar to this Glenlivet glass here, but I packed the other 3 up. They didn't make it over here, and I only brought one with me, and I cracked it the other day. The hazards of using stuff, I guess. Nice and peaty on the nose. It's a blended Scotch. I believe it's a 4-year-old blended, if I remember correctly. Might be an 8-year-old. Who knows? Oh, Johnny, yes, right there. The black is 12, so I think the red must be an 8. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Oh, yeah, not bad at all. So smoky. The texture is nice. Get some caramel-like sweetness, just the slightest hint of vanilla. Not necessarily, bourbon-like. Bourbon, well, you tend to get a lot of pronounced vanilla. Not so much, but you do get a little bit here. You can hear the music. I don't own any rights to it. Figure I'd drink the rocks out first before I get too much water in, then we'll go to neat. Oh, biscuits. Yeah, I was set this up to go originally at 6:30. Well, originally at 6, and then something come up. I had to set it back to 6:30. And then when I went to let it run at 6:30, for some reason it wouldn't start. So I restarted the computer to see if that did anything, and it didn't. So I thought, well, I'll give up on doing one. And then all of a sudden it popped on for some inexplicable reason. So I figured, well, what the hell? Yeah, I mean, this typically runs for about $25 in my neck of the woods. But there was a store not far from my house that had was clearance out. It seemed like about most of the liquor department anyway. They're getting rid of a lot of SKUs, man. So they had it for $15, man. If I'd had more money, I'd have bought more than one bottle. That's some Bushmills. The Bushmills Irish marked down to 10. Again, I only bought one at the time because I didn't have any more money. But I wish I'd have bought. And they had 3 on the shelf. If I had money, I'd have bought all 3. I do prefer, for the most part, the smoother, sweeter nature of Irish whiskey to Scotch. But every once in a while, it tastes good. Yeah, I just don't know as much about it. And I've taken a lot of time to study Irish whiskey and bourbon. I grew up drinking bourbon, so and then I've kind of gone full circle. I've kind of gone back to bourbon and small distillery whiskey, American whiskey. I think we're like craft beer. I think right now the small distillery whiskeys are the best in the world right now, in my opinion. Much like American craft beer. Kind of lead the way, man. Yeah, there's a lot of great distilleries. There's one about an hour, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, hour 15 minutes from my house in Springfield. It's only about an hour from where I work in Arkansas, but called White Mule Distillery, Pretty, Missouri. And they're doing some great stuff. They've got a rested oak whiskey called 27 that's brilliant. I mean, it's every bit as flavorful uh, and complex is a fine aged whiskey. It's just gorgeous. Um, they used they actually smoked the corn. That's kind of their thing. That's what makes it unique and different. It's very nice, man. They have an unaged version called Mountain Maid, which is brilliant, by the way. But the rusted oak whiskey is just beyond gorgeous, man. And I had a couple other whiskeys to choose from to do tonight, but I was closer to the end on this Johnny Red. I got that much left after this particular, so I figured, well, I'll go ahead and just try to finish up. If I keep this camera working, I'll make Whiskey Wednesdays a thing, man. Anyway, this was kind of more of a test video than anything. I just wanted to see if the camera would stay on. So that's why I set it up. But then when I went to turn it on, all of a sudden my camera wouldn't work. So I don't know. Right now it's working. What can you say? There we go. Now let's go to neat, shall we? Which is probably how a whiskey ought to be drank for the most part, but every once in a while rocks hits the spot. Using my Glenlivet glass. Starting to get the peat on the nose. It is sweeter on the nose, both, well, I won't say flavor because I'm drinking it, but on the nose it's sweeter when the rocks. Once it melts, you get a little bit of water in there, it brings the sugars out, both in the nose and in the flavor. So you do get some of that peat smoke. I also feel some toffee notes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I suppose for $25 blended scotch, it's fine. It's probably as good as any of them out there. Again, just my taste buds really prefer Irish and whiskeys and bourbons, really, especially for about a $25 price point. When I look at comparable Irish whiskeys and bourbons I can buy for the same amount of money, I personally am going to put my money that way. And if I'm drinking scotch, I prefer single malt, but then I have the same issue that for the price of what a single malt scotch costs, I can really get a lot of bang for my buck for a comparable bourbon or Irish whiskey. Uh, Johnny Blue, for instance, I mean, it runs about 200 and change a bottle. But for about 100 to 100 and a quarter, depending on where I'm looking, I can buy the 21-year-old single malt Bushmills. Now, we can argue taste and this and that back and forth, but for talking quality, you're never going to convince me that blended Johnny Blue is more quality whiskey than the 21-year-old Bushmills. Now we're talking Irish whiskey and Scotch, so this is kind of an apples to oranges comparison. My point being that if I'm going to spend 100 and quarter on the rare occasion I have that much, I can get more bang for my buck by an Irish whiskey. And then again, there's a lot of great small distillery whiskeys that don't necessarily have that age on them, but many distillers have proprietary methods to, speed up that process. A lot of them are using smaller barrels. Some of them are adding oak to the barrel, so it's double oak, so you will get that process quicker. And some of them are just using a better product to start with. I mean, that White Mule, for instance. I mean, uh, he's barrel aging at 105 proof. Most are doing between 150 and 160. Now he doesn't get as much yield for that, but because he's only distilling to 105 proof, he gets a much smoother, much cleaner product. And that's what a lot of these smaller distilleries are doing. They're giving you a much cleaner, smoother product. They're starting with a better grain bill to start with. Which is why I'm a fan. White Mule Distillery in Purdy's doing some great stuff. Rocktown in Little Rock, Arkansas is doing some fine stuff as well. So yeah, no, I intentionally didn't invite anybody into this live video because it was just mostly a test. I just wanted to see if the camera would run through the length of it. I know if it would shut off after 3 seconds, especially after And the funny part about it is, I mean, I didn't have any problems right up until I went to start the video. All of a sudden it went off. So again, I mean, I kept doing tests to make sure it was going to work. It was going to be fine. Right up until I went to hit start, and it went belly up on me. So, anyways, yeah. So I hope y'all are having a good time. It is November 1st. Halloween was yesterday. I hope you're having a fine Whiskey Wednesday. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer. Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker. You do get some of the sugars kind of surface right near the end, but again, it is going to be a little sweeter on the rocks. Just the way it is, man. Did I say Purveyor of Wisdom yet? Let's say Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, Purveyor of Wisdom, man. All around good guy. Hey, you all have a good one. That's it for Whiskey Wednesday, baby.